Well, good evening and welcome to Centers for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas' Wednesday evening service. It's wonderful to have each and every one of you here with us tonight. My name is Reverend Laura Hallett, and it is my pleasure to be the spiritual leader of this amazing community here in Southern Nevada. If you happen to be joining us from somewhere else in the world tonight, we are really delighted to have you here. It is honestly so amazing that we have this technology that lets us connect in consciousness no matter how far apart we are. We are truly blessed. I'd like to begin by thanking some of our beloved community members who are here supporting this service tonight. We have practitioner Richard Houston sitting high watch and holding that space of conscious connection for all of us. And we have our fabulous music team of Melissa Allen and Justin Vogel here providing some musical inspiration for the night. They're going to be doing one of my favorite songs a little later. And we have our media specialist, Joe Blom, who created these amazing videos for each of our services. And I want to thank each and every one of you. You are the reason that we are here doing what we do at Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas. And we are delighted to have you watching this service, whether you're doing it live on Wednesday evening or sometime else during the week. We are thrilled to know that you are here watching and getting something from these services. So thank you. You know, here at Centers for Spiritual Living, our Wednesday night services are designed to take us just a little deeper into our exploration of the topics and the ideas that we're speaking about each month. Each month we use a different theme based on Center for Spiritual Living's global theme of 2022, which is Living Everyday Wonder. Each month is divided into different aspects of our lives and designed to take us on a journey to understanding each topic just a little bit deeper and having a greater experience of the wonder and the joy and the awe that is available to us in each and every one of these areas of our lives. And so January, we looked at our life overall. In February, we took an inward journey into our inner life. In March, we looked at the lighter side of spirituality and focused on the idea of play and how we can have that spiritual connection when we are engaging in playful activities. And for the month of April, we are looking at the creative side of spirituality and how we can experience that in our own lives through some of our different spiritual principles and practices. We believe that creativity is the very nature of the universe, and so it's a very fundamental principle for us at Centers for Spiritual Living. To help with this exploration, I've chosen several different books that help me explore the idea of creativity. Some of the books I've read in the past that are still very meaningful to me. We have Brené Brown's book, The Gift of Imperfection, which I'll be speaking a little bit about tonight, and Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, her book on creativity, which I've touched on each week during the month of April. And then we have the book that I chose as the book of the month, which is by Tom Triumph, and it's called Evolve or Die. And so it's a really great book about innovation and creativity in the business world. And so I found quite a bit of useful information in there, as well as different ideas about creativity and how we can enter into that creative act. And so for tonight, my topic is tools of the trade. The tools and the techniques that we use to help us develop a greater sense of creativity in our lives. You know, in the past 10 years or so, I've made it a practice to study creativity. I've read all kinds of books, some of those I just mentioned to you. I've read blog posts and articles. I've listened to podcasts and interviews with many of the most well-known creative people in our world. People who are really innovators in this idea of being creative and living a creative life. And while they don't all say the same thing in the same way, I've noticed that there are some common threads in what all of these folks have to say. And these common threads, the things that the creative people seem to be saying, that all of them are saying, that's what I call the tools of the trade. So the first thing that they all speak about is the courage that it takes to begin to consider creating something. Author Elizabeth Gilbert started her creative journey when she heard the question, do you have the courage to bring forth the treasure that is hidden within you? In other words, do you have the courage to actually go within and find those hidden jewels that are wanting to be expressed through you? Do you have the courage to actually take that deep dive into yourself to find out if you can bring forth something that is magnificent and unique to you? Now, most people would say that the opposite of courage is fear. But fear of what? Fear of having what you create being rejected? Fear of having what it is you've dedicated a huge portion of your life to being ridiculed, judged, or rejected. I think that much of what we fear can be attributed to one thing. And that one thing is the belief that whatever we produce has to be perfect. Author Brené Brown has an entire book about our need to be perfect. She calls it The Gifts of Imperfection. Her definition of perfectionism comes from this book. She says, perfectionism is a self-destructive and addictive belief system that fuels this primary thought. If I look perfect, live perfectly, and do everything perfectly, I can avoid or minimize the painful feelings of shame, judgment, and blame. Perfectionism is a self-destructive and addictive belief system. Perfectionism is self-destructive simply because there's no such thing as being perfect. Perfection is an absolute unattainable goal. Additionally, perfectionism is more about perception. We want to be perceived as perfect. We don't want to be judged by other people. And again, this is unattainable. There is no way for us to control someone else's perception of us, regardless of how much time or energy we spend trying. The truth is that most people don't spend much time thinking about anybody else but themselves. And I don't mean that that everyone is self-centered. It's just that everyone is self-centered. We are focused on our own self. We don't really spend as much time thinking about others as we think others think about us. A little convoluted, but I think we are more attached to what other people think than other people ever are. They just don't really think about us as much as we think they do. Perfectionism is addictive because we always experience shame, judgment, and blame. We do it to ourselves. We often believe it's because we aren't perfect enough. So rather than questioning that faulty logic of perfectionism, we become more entrenched in our quest to live and to look and to do everything just right. These feelings of shamed and judged and blamed, or the fear of having these feelings, are the reality of the human experience. Perfectionism actually increases the odds that we will experience these painful emotions more often, which will in turn lead to more shame, more blame, more self-doubt. Elizabeth Gilbert wrote in her book on creativity, it's called Big Magic. She says the most evil trick about perfectionism is that it disguises itself as virtue. She goes on to say, I think perfectionism is just a high-end, haute couture version of fear. I think perfectionism is just fear in fancy shoes and a mink coat, pretending to be elegant when it's actually just terrified. Because underneath that shiny veneer, perfectionism is nothing more than a deep existential angst that says again and again and again, I am not good enough and I will never be good enough. Our task is to have that courage to overcome the perfectionism. Have the courage to try. Honestly, it will never be perfect. And you may fail, and you may fail often. But at least if you fail, you will fail. As Theodore Roosevelt so eloquently put it, while daring greatly. You will fail daring greatly because at least you tried. You had the courage to try. Author Brené Brown let that passage from Theodore Roosevelt take inspiration for 2 of her books and an entire management training program that she calls Daring Greatly. That idea of getting yourself into that arena and trying is a powerful concept. It is what we really are called to do, to take the chance and try. But instead of it, we think about perfectionism way too much. I believe that instead of perfectionism, our focus should be on perseverance. Just keep doing it. And do it until it is done. It doesn't matter that it's perfect. It doesn't even matter that somebody else likes it. It matters that you complete it. I love the old adage, done is better than good. Get it done, because you will feel accomplishment in the completion of the task. We can always find ways, every single time we can find ways to improve. But if we are set on having it be finished instead of being perfect, we'll get a lot further in this world, and our creative process will flow a lot easier. Courage and releasing perfectionism are two of the major tools in any creative endeavor. But there are some others that come into play also. Things like learning to listen, speaking less and listening more. This allows us to tap into our inner wisdom and find that creative impulse within us that is wanting to express itself through us. Being quiet and listening more allows us to discern the next step in our evolution as a creative being. If we're always listening to what that monkey mind is saying that keeps us distracted, then distracted is what we will be. We will never get to that creative vein that lies within us if we are distracted by what the chattering mind says. And it's the one that's talking about fear and perfectionism and not good enough and blaming and shaming. That's where it comes from. But if we can begin to use some of our practices like meditation and contemplation and journaling to quiet that chattering mind and to tap into that inner wisdom that is always available to us, then we'll get a lot further in our creative process. Another tool that we need to do is to stay curious and to keep an open mind. There's a Zen quote that says, "It is in the beginner's mind that there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are few." Stay open, stay curious, and ask that all-important question, what if? What if I tried it this way? What if I did this? What if? Not what if no one likes it, but what if I try it? What if I go out and find that way of doing something differently? Another thing that we can do is be inspired by other forms of creativity. Actively be around examples of creativity. Go to art shows, plays, museums, concerts. Be around people who are creative. And find opportunities to see how someone takes something old and makes it into something new. I love that form of creativity, where we actually begin to deconstruct something and recreate something new out of it. When I was in undergraduate training as a teacher years ago, I had one of my professors tell me that teachers practice the art of dynamic eclecticism. Dynamic eclecticism. That's to actively go out and gather things. This, above all other things that I learned in those many years of undergraduate schooling, this one has stuck with me more than anything else. Dynamic eclecticism. Actively going out and gathering things that help us in our pursuit of our professions. It helps us in our creativity to actively go out and find examples of how to do something. So as a teacher, I would go to other classrooms and other schools, and I took a notebook with me that I carried in my pocket all the time. And I would write down or draw examples of what I saw that was working really well. I'd see a bulletin board that was a great idea, or I'd see a way of writing out the class rules, or a different way of solving a problem that I would see demonstrated in the classroom. And I would bring that back to my own classroom and I would make it my own. It's said that imitation is the greatest form of praise, and that the greatest compliment we can ever receive is to be imitated by others. The greatest compliment we can receive is to be imitated by others. Go out and actively see what people are doing, and then bring that back to your own creative endeavors and see how it shows up through you. Because I guarantee that you will never, ever make an exact copy of what someone else has done. There is no way that you cannot put some of your own into it. You will put your own twist, your own creative expression into everything that you do. So often in our quest to be creative beings, we overlook the fact that we already are. We can't see our own creativity because we set up in our mind how we think it should be. We have this idea that we think what creativity should look like. We don't even see that we are creative on a daily basis. We see in every single thing that we do, we create. Every choice that we make, every moment of our life is a creative expression. But we think creativity has to be some kind of grand product. Last week I spoke on not focusing on the what of our stories, but on focusing on the why. The what of creativity doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter how our creativity shows up, what form it takes, whether, like I said before, that it's perfect or not. It is the why that is significant. And the why of creativity is the simple fact that we are creative beings. It is in our very nature to be creative, to problem solve in new and different ways. All of the innovation, all of the discoveries, all of the giant leaps in our evolution have occurred because we are inherently creative, and we find ways to solve the problems that are facing us. I never really had a burning desire to be an author or an artist or singer or sculptor or any of those things that I would consider creative people doing. But I've always enjoyed making things. My entire life, I've been very crafty. One of the things I really like about myself is that I'm pretty much willing to try any new creative expression. I used to think I had to limit myself to crafty things. I avoided things that I considered to be real art. The closest thing I ever came to doing real art was when I was taking a ceramics class in college. But even then, I preferred to make the functional pieces rather than the artistic ones. All of that changed about 6 years ago when I began to doodle. And I discovered that I could actually draw. And I could draw something that pleased me. And once I realized it pleased me, I really didn't care anymore what anyone else thought. And that was the most freeing, liberating thought I think I've ever had. When I don't care what other people are thinking about it, that I'm doing it for myself, and I love the way it looks and feels when I'm doing it and how it turns out in the end, that's free. That's true freedom. And so now, with full confidence and in complete authenticity, I can call myself an artist, an author, an illustrator, a sculptor, a painter, and so very, very many more things. I even sing. I don't do it well, but I sing. The many ways that I express myself creatively are the ways that I do it for myself. The ways that I express myself are done for me. And if it happens to please anyone else, well, all the more better. But that's not my primary motivation. There are thousands of ways that you can begin creative endeavors. There are training programs. You can get all kinds of video training programs online nowadays. There are courses you can take. There are experts. There are coaches. There really is no one clear path that is perfect for everyone. You have to find your own path. But I know this, it begins with willingness. And I know that willingness stems from an internal desire to create that never ever leaves you. One of our most powerful tools that we have to tap into our inner willingness is through our form of affirmative prayer. So let's do that now. Let's take this idea of willingness and creativity into our affirmative prayer and see how it shows up. Our form of prayer is, as I said, it's an affirmative prayer where we speak affirmations of truth. We begin by recognizing the presence of that universal creative love intelligence. We unify ourselves with it. We know that whatever it is, we are too. And then we speak those words of truth. We give thanks and we let it go. So if you would with me right now, let's turn within. Take a moment. Just connect with your body. I do this through breathing. By bringing my awareness to my breath and consciously feeling it moving through my body. I tap into that heart center. that place from which I feel the presence of the divine. And it's from this place of deep connection I know that there is only one. One power, one presence, one loving creative intelligence that has brought forth everything into existence, that exists in all things, but is so much more than any one thing, or even more than the totality of everything. This divine loving creator expresses itself beautifully through each and every one of its creations. Each of us that breathe, that move, that rest, that are. We are all expressions of the divine, unique and perfect. Because I know that there is only this one creative love intelligence, I know that everything is unified with it and expresses it in its most magnificent form. Both the animate and the inanimate are expressions of the divine, whole and complete and perfect. And so knowing this, I speak my word of truth. I know that right here and right now, there is a creative impulse within every one of us. I feel that creative impulse moving through me, and I tap into it and allow it to bring itself forth into expression in the most unique and wonderful ways. I know that deep within each one of us is a willingness to be that place through which Spirit creates, that place of consciousness through which the divine brings itself forth into expression, expressing itself in beauty and grace. There is a harmony and a balance to this expression of life moving through each and every one of us right here and right now. And I know that not only are we each individually blessed by it, but our world collectively is enhanced and uplifted by this dynamic creative force, by this willingness to be the place where God shows up. Oh, and how good it is to know this. How grateful I am to see it in action. How grateful I am to experience it in my own life, and how grateful I am to see it happening through each and every person that I come in contact with. And so I release this word into that creative law, into that place that always says yes. I let it go and I let it be. And so it is. Amen. Here at Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas, we are a mission and vision-driven community. We offer transformative educational opportunities, deep and meaningful moments of connection, uplifting Wednesday and Sunday services. We greatly appreciate your contributions that support the amazing work we're doing here in Southern Nevada. We have several easy ways you can contribute. We have text to give. Simply text the amount of your donation to our text to give number, and you'll be prompted to enter your information. There's a link to our online donation page posted below this video where you can contribute by debit or credit card. And of course, you're always welcome to send a check to our office if that works better for you. All of your contributions go to support the great work that we're doing here in Greater Las Vegas community.
It is a melody calling, eager to show you the way. Now is the time, make the choice. Don't go and keep yourself waiting when peace can be yours today. Singing, God is, I am, I it's more in line with the truth. But with you always I've stayed. My love, it never will falter. The blood that flows there in your heart leads the truth. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. Let Spirit hear it. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. Let it go. God is, I am, I release and let it go. Let it go. Let it go. God is, I release and let it go. I release and let it go.
And so as we end tonight, I'd like to let you know about a couple of special events that are coming up in the next couple of months. As you may have heard, we recently purchased a new building for our center. And we'd like to have the input of our community as we are moving forward with creating this new Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas. We are birthing something new and unique here in the Southern Nevada, and we would love to have your input on that. So I've designed what we call Reimagining CSLGLV Community, a conversation series. Our first meeting will be held this coming Sunday, April 24th, at 11 a.m. Pacific Time online through our Zoom platform. The second round of the Community Conversation Series will be held in person on Saturday, May 14th at 11 a.m. Pacific Time at the Clark County Library on East Flamingo. It's the library that's near Flamingo and Maryland Parkway, over by where our old center used to be. You're welcome to attend both or one of the two, either way. And in addition to our community conversation series, we're creating an online survey to get your feedback around some specific questions. The link for the survey will be coming out on one of our e-blasts, so look for that and take a few moments to complete the survey. It is vital that your voice be heard, so please take these opportunities to share with us what you are wishing to see as the new Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas. These are amazing and exciting times, my friend, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you doing this work at this time. Together, we are building a thriving and vital community that is a force of transformation in Southern Nevada and beyond. We are blessed. Have a grand and glorious week, and I hope to see you at our community conversation on Sunday. Don't forget our Sunday service is being broadcast on our YouTube channel, and we look forward to seeing you there too. Have a great week, everyone. Good night.
The monthly publication, Science of Mind magazine, is a treasure to be read and contemplated. Along with in-depth articles, there is a day-to-day spiritual support to be gleaned from its daily guides. Licensed practitioner Lynn Frankenberger hosts Adventures in Faith every Tuesday at 11 a.m. on Zoom, and you're invited to join in. This is a weekly group discussion that focuses on those daily guides and how to apply them. Check Facebook and our weekly newsletter for more details. CSL Greater Las Vegas brings you much of your favorite spiritual music every Friday at 7 p.m. with spiritual soundscapes. Enjoy performances from CSLGLV vocalists along with special guest singers. It's music for your soul. Subscribe to the CSLGLV YouTube channel to get a convenient link sent to you for each musical performance. At CSL CSL Greater Las Vegas, it is our mission to inspire spiritual discovery through community connection, exploration, and celebration. This mission supports the all-inclusive vision of Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, in which we envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation.